I guess maybe run through a little bit of what we're hoping for the podcast and maybe a little bit about your background, maybe not necessarily who you are, but
I don't care. So I spent 20 years in the U.S. military in two different branches, Army and Air Force, and 23 years as a state trooper. Um, I have a degree in applied science of pharmacy. I'm also um, a student of science and philosophy and theology, and other things. But I think that the goal of what we're looking to do here is just get people to open up their minds and think about their existing biases and prejudices, and I don't mean that in a bad or a negative way. As you know, a lot of people have weaponized those concepts, but I think that the idea that people are unaware that their emotions rule their thinking, and that's 90% of all of the problem.
right.
So,
Yeah. So,
so as an example, I was thinking about this today. How I was reading through one of Levi's college papers, his textbooks, and in there's this whole section of this woman uh, writing an article inside of his textbook about how we have to be aware of our biases against these people and those people and other people. And the whole time that she's telling people to be aware of their biases, she's dripping with bias.
yeah.
At the exact same time, it's just puking out of her, and I'm just staggered. Like, so you're pointing your finger at all the people that are reading your textbook as you're telling them to be aware of their biases, and at the same time, clearly holding a biased point of view about who you think is reading your article.
Right.
So, but the problem with biases is that biases, anytime that you have a belief system, belief systems are connected to the emotional part of the human ego. You start to believe something, you also start to become oftentimes emotionally attached to that belief. And when somebody challenges you to examine that belief, it almost always provokes in some people a certain amount of resentment or protection or defensiveness or anger. And when people start to feel angry, then they start to think through that anger or start to think through that fear.
Right.
The only kind of thinking that you can really trust is just a cold, calculated thinking.
Hmm.
If you have an emotion behind it, you can't trust it. It's poison.
Yeah.
So anytime you're angry about something or shaking your finger at other people, it's usually a sign that maybe you haven't really examined your own point of view
Right.
and you're afraid to.